Hi, welcome to Rocky Mountain Views. I'm your host, Martha Thompson, and today we are thrilled to have with us Bobby Brown, who many of you know through his work as a bail bondsman with, I guess most people say Dog, not Dwayne Chapman, but you know, Dog the Bounty Hunter and his wife Beth. But Bobby has been just a mainstay in Colorado for a very, very long time. And you might be asking why, Martha, why are you talking to a bondsman today? You know, what kind of good things, does he have to offer? And do you know, there's so much that we don't have enough time to talk about all the good that Bobby does. But let's get started. Just tell me about how you got started in this to begin with, because you began in law enforcement.
I started out in law enforcement. I'm dating myself, but I started out in 1971. I worked my way through, and after 13 months in the patrol division, I was really interested in the drug problem that existed back then, and convinced the sheriff if I would, if it would be possible to form a narcotics bureau, because of the need for it. And we're talking in late 1972. I co-founded the Narcotics and Intelligence Bureau then, and just worked my way through and became a detective sergeant, and then I was very good about what I was able to do, and worked my way to, I was the youngest, first of all, I was the youngest deputy ever hired by the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. And a real quick story about that. When I started in law enforcement, this is how bad I wanted to be a cop. I was paid $432 a month, and we had to buy our own police car. So the sheriff's office in the 1970s, one car, they would all be painted red and white. The county was fair enough that they would put they had two lights on it, and they would give us a paint job. But one guy had a Monte Carlo, one guy had a Pontiac, but I made $432 a month when I started. When I made lieutenant, I was in charge of the Homicide Bureau, and I had gone to $2,400 a month, and so I thought I was doing great, but it wasn't about the money. I did not get into law enforcement because of the money, and so then people ask, well, how did I transition into criminal defense work and into bail bonds? And the thing is that I took every class that I could possibly take while I was in law enforcement. I actually ended with the Colorado Organized Crime Strike Bureau. In working organized crime, it was directly under the Colorado Attorney General's office. And so I was able to possible. I've been a polygraph examiner since 1979, a hostage negotiator, and so I've done a lot of different things, and I've been able to take that into the private sector, and became a very much in demand criminal defense investigator, working for some of the best criminal lawyers actually in the United States, and I'm certified to testify as an expert witness in sex crimes, drug cases, homicides, and there are not that many people that can be certified as an expert witness. So I was able to take all of that, and I had met a friend that was a bail bondsman, and he had an alcohol problem, but he was a great guy, and he showed me that in 1990 that he had made $130,000 that year, and God bless him, he's passed away now, but he made $130,000, and he worked very much part-time because he drank a lot.
He had other things to do.
And so I thought, if you could make $130,000 and look, let me see what I could do. And
Right.
I started Bobby Brown Bail Bonds, and it's now almost 23 years ago. A lot of my friends, they ask, well, you know, how could you put people in jail for so many years and now you take them out of jail? Well, bail is a constitutional right, and so everybody has a right to bail. You know, I have lawyers on bond, I have police officers on bond, I have doctors on bond, I have drug addicts on bond. I mean, it can happen to anybody. Good people go to jail as well as people that truly deserve to be in jail.
Well, that was actually something that I was going to talk to you about, because there is the misnomer, I think, that the people that are going to utilize your services are career criminals. You're helping the bad guys, and that you are not in any way serving society. And it's one of the things that I really want people to know about you, because that is a very small facet of your clientele. As you just alluded to, you have all types of people that have made mistakes. They're not career criminals.
Absolutely.
They did something stupid.
Some people, I mean, as small as forgetting a court date, and then it turns into something big. That can happen to anybody. A crime of passion, you know, could involve, you know, anybody. And these are things that happen. Well, do these people need to sit in jail until their court case is resolved 2 or 3 years later? Absolutely not. And so, you know, in the bail industry, you know, I take a lot of pride in it, but we provide a service. And, you know, when I post a bond, my companies, we have a contract with the state of Colorado. We literally enter into a contract. We guarantee that that person will make all their court appearances, and if they don't make their court appearances, then it's up to us to make sure that we bring them back before the court. So, you know, we do, a lot of people, they don't realize for the court service to the taxpayers, to everybody that is involved, that, you know, that especially if you are arrested and you need a $10,000 bail, you know, how many people have $10,000? Well, they can get a hold of a bail bondsman, a bail bond company like myself, anybody that, and they pay a percentage, and they get to, you know, then they're out of jail, and it's much, they're in a much better position with their attorneys appearing in court. They're in a much better, or nice clothes as opposed
Absolutely.
to jail clothes. And they're more accessible to make meetings with the lawyer. Lawyers aren't having to go to the jail to meet with them. So, I think the most important thing about bail is that I've been very blessed. I've made a good living at it. I employ a number of different families. You know, that their only job is working for Bobby Brown Bail Bonds. So I'm able to put people to work within our community, people that have struggled, and they're actually able to come in and make good money, and we're doing a service. But what it's done for me is that I have been able to let my employees really do the work, and it's afforded me the opportunity to work on cold case homicides, to work on child sex trafficking cases, missing person cases, you know, and some people just, you know, they call and they want to have a background check done on an employee because they want to, you know, they want to provide good services to, you know, if they're in business for themselves. So, you know, but the biggest thing is that I get to go to schools. I spend a lot of time at the youth prisons, young kids that are getting ready to, you know, literally go to prison for their very first time. And I'm able to sit down with them, groups of them, and explain that, you know, you don't get a do-over on this. So you're going to prison, it's your first time. make it your last time, because you will be assigned a number. And when you get out, that number is always there waiting for you. So, let it just remain vacant. And so, if I only reach one out of a group of 100 that I talk to on any given day, then I have done
That's a changed
something.
life.
Absolutely.
That's still a changed life. But I want to go back to some of the things that you were talking about that I was unaware of, that you do participate in missing persons cases. All of the other, because you do have a well-trained staff, that you're able to do some things that contribute to society in an enormous way. So, you gloss over that so quickly as if it's not a big deal, because it's such a part of your life. It's everyday life for you. For part of your life, it's everyday life. A gift. If my child were missing, I know I could call you and you could find them.
Absolutely.
That,
we work very, very close with law enforcement, and I can tell you right now, I have been associated with the investigation of John Benet Ramsey since within days after this poor little girl was found. And I am very, very confident that that case can and will be solved.
really?
Even after this many years. That's a case that many people know about, and but to be honest with you, it's an honor to work on that case, and I will continue to work on it. But I have cases of like a small child that isn't a beautiful blonde, blue-eyed girl, little girl, could be a very, very, and there, it is a situation that we're working right now, a very, very poor family, and regretfully, the media just does not pay attention to,
No, and they do not get the same treatment. Here's
Absolutely.
this same precious life, precious child, but the cases are treated entirely differently, and I can only imagine the frustration of those families when their loved one is missing.
Absolutely, and they know that, it's important to me.
When their loved one is missing.
Media, I'm very, very blessed in working with all of the media. I work on local levels, national and international level, and to get notoriety to the case, not to Bobby Brown. I want
it's
that
not what
little
it's
girl,
about.
the little boy's picture, the kid that is missing. We do a lot of stuff locally. I'm working on stuff in New York right now. I worked on a little boy that out of North Carolina. Unfortunately, he was found dead, but we were able to bring closure to that family, and that was just a little over a year ago. I was in Riverside working on a unsolved homicide, and I became involved in this little boy, and we worked it, and we unfortunately we did find him, but he was not alive. He had been murdered, and the person that murdered him was a stepfather, and he's in prison now. So it's
And the family's not living with the unknown any longer.
no. But this little boy, he was a nobody because he was a beautiful little black boy that it just I don't know what some forms of media, it's like, well, it's not attractive. It's not
It's not going to sell.
It's-
That story is not going to sell.
it's not going to sell
And
papers. It's not going to sell, and
That's
so that's
such wrong thinking.
and
It's
and
just
so I
wrong.
get so much satisfaction of being able to get them, get the families, into the media, and the media is our best friend, and I work really close with law enforcement. I have a lot of respect for them. They have a lot of respect for me, and so that really helps. And so
that makes a huge difference. Now I'll let you talk about your motivational speaking, because that was important, and I really appreciate you spending the time on that subject. But with motivational speaking, you don't see someone who's a criminal. You see a redeemable person.
absolutely. Everybody, including myself, has made mistakes. I will continue to make mistakes. Everybody does. If I were not have given a second chance,
Or a fifth,
or
depending on the day.
or a double-digit chance, because we've all made mistakes, and we'll continue to, but we learn by them, and so when I get to deal with these people that that have been arrested, or if I talk to groups, I will, I go to drugs, drugs, alcohol, I can tell you right now, and I'm not exaggerating, 95% of the people that I bail out of jail, it's drug or alcohol related. I don't care what the underlying offense
Really?
was, it's related to drugs or alcohol. So we have to get the message out there, and that, and it's really simple, that if you want to be in the drug game, there's two things that's going to happen. One or two. You're either going to die or you're going to go to prison. And regretfully, there are too many that are willing to gamble on, well, maybe I'm driving this fancy Hummer with nice wheels on it, and I'm dealing dope, and Bobby Brown doesn't know what he's talking about.
And I'll be the exception.
Yeah, but I could not count how many funerals that I have been asked to go to in the last year, the last 5 years, where I've worked with parents that they bonded the child out of jail, and some of them are their son's 30 years old, 35 years old, and still in the drug scene and what have you, and so it's happened in my own family with my own godson. And so, there's nobody that is Teflon, that this cannot, affect their family. There's not a family on the planet that we could talk to right now that doesn't have a family member that's affected by drugs or alcohol. Alcohol is the number one most abused drug in the world.
Sure.
And
no, it's no respecter of persons or socioeconomic status. It can affect anyone, anytime, anywhere, and it can take over the real person.
absolutely, we just had a lady that was she had a very high position in a local bank here. She was making, I say very high, she was doing very well. She was making over $130,000 a year. In less than 4 months for first time of trying meth, in 4 months, she lost her husband, her 3 children, her beautiful home, and when we arrested her, they lied, said that she wasn't there. She was rolled up in a piece of old carpet they had put in an old, filthy apartment complex. The apartment was filthy. She was rolled up in this carpet, hiding, and she's a bank, and they had put a bunch of trash on top of her, thinking that nobody's going to dig through all this filthy trash. And we brought her out of that, and then we hear the story, and in 4 months she had lost it all, from being sitting in a nice office to being rolled up in a piece of trash carpet. So there's nobody.
That's just so sad.
But is she doing better now? Yes. That you always hear that some people have to hit bottom. Some people have to hit bottom once, twice, or 3 times. But what we try to do is really, really work with them. You know, if I promise somebody that I will get you help, trust me, we will make the arrangements to get them. But they have to want it, you know. They can't do it because it's court ordered.
Right.
They can't do it because, you know, I want to please my dad or I want to save my marriage. You have to do it for you. And if you don't, it's not going to work, you know. And so, you know, but I give out my personal number. I give out, you know, every way there is to get in touch with me, because if I can help you, I will go at 3 o'clock in the morning. I worked till 7:30 this morning, all night long last night, working with law enforcement to try and help save somebody. And, you know, that's the greatest reward in the world. You know, I'm very, very blessed. And the Lord's blessed me with the ability, excuse me, to be able to go out and do these things. You know, I will go to schools, I talk to kindergartners, I will sit on the floor and read to them, and I talk to a graduate at Colorado College, I go to the prisons, I'll talk to anybody that will listen to me and that really wants to hear, you know, if I can help them. And some of them don't want to hear my message. You know, the parents will bring them in and, you know, or I'll go to their house and, you know, but we make friends and I've been able to change, you know, a number of lives. I've gotten people that have served a number of years in prison that I believed in and that they were, you know, too often I hear, I'm innocent, you know, I didn't do it. But I have worked on cases where one person in particular had served 16 years in prison, and we were able to get him out. Unfortunately, he was only out 4 years and had a heart attack and died. And,
oh, Lord.
But I've worked with serial murderers. I've worked with kids.
That I don't know how you do, but with the kids I love, and even if you're talking about a group of kids that are in jail for the first time, they're in juvenile hall, and they don't want to hear you, I'm a firm believer in planting seeds, and it doesn't need to take root that day. The seed has still been planted. It's never lost. So it's always there. So the very fact that you go and you do that is so important. That matters a great deal. You don't need to see the results immediately. I think they'll happen.
And you know, no matter how young the group is or what the age, makes no difference. If I'm talking to 5 people or 500, you know, I can tell who's paying attention, who just is sitting there like, God, when's this guy going to be done? You know, and there's some people that you can't reach, but you know, and you know, and then they come up and you know, if they want, yeah. And I am not a celebrity, but you know, when we talked about dog, I will always be the Ed McMahon of Dog the Bounty Hunter. You know, whatever press release comes out, it's always dog sidekick Bobby Brown. So I'm okay with that, you know, and it's just. The whole thing is, there's never going to be an end to it. Every day there's something new. I meet somebody, you know, my office, we're constantly bonding people out of jail. And, you know, and I'm blessed with those that, you know, hey, you know, I don't want to go back to jail. Is there any way you can help me? I stop what I'm doing, I will go in there and I'll spend 2 hours, 3 hours. If there's any chance of, you know, helping the family, absolutely.
See, that's what I want people to know about you. That's the difference between going to the first listing in the Yellow Pages or going to someone who's going to, if you want a changed life, Bobby Brown will help you find that changed life. Are you going to work for it? You bet.
Absolutely.
But you provide the tools and you were there for them. I respect that more than I can say. That's what it gives someone that moment to say, I matter, I'm worthy, somebody sees value in me. Maybe I am worth saving.
You know, they will say, I can't get a job. I'm a convicted felon. I have Rolodexes, you know, now it's obviously, you know, in our computers, but, you know, well, can you roof? Can you do this? Can you do that? You know, a lot of people are into computers, you know, and then I will call on my friends, you know, hey, can you give him or her a chance? Would you just give them a chance? And I love that, and you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I know I've done my part. They may fail at that one, but then, you know, they may come back, and so that's what it's about, you know, is that, you know, is trying, you know, and planting that seed, like you said, and watching it grow. But at least you know that you've planted it, and, you know, and I know that some of them don't listen, but it's still in the back of their mind.
It's there.
And they might hit that bottom, and who will they call? I pray that they'll call me, or, you know, whoever.
I think God offers us moments of grace constantly.
Absolutely.
We need to be ready to accept it. I don't think God ever gives up on any of us. We
No.
just need to be able to accept that moment. But I know that you extend those moments to many, many people, and we're very grateful that you're here in Colorado, because you're not just getting out the bad guys.
No.
No, you're helping people live changed lives and seeing their value at their worst moments.
And trust me, it is at their very, very worst moment. You know, I
Yes.
mean, it just, and just recently, I mean, I had a high-ranking law enforcement officer from right here in Colorado Springs, and I mean, it can happen to anybody. And, you know, the people that I bond out of jail, you know, I'm asked, well, how could you bond her or him out of jail? You know, everybody is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. You know, if I bonded out by the criminal charge, yeah, I would not be truthful if I said that somebody that, because of my association in law enforcement, if somebody attempted to kill a cop or a judge, or, you know, they would not be bonded out.
Right, that would be the wrong phone call to make.
Absolutely.
But you do not see yourself as judge and juror for others, and that I understand.
No.
You're going to be talking with us again, I'm hoping quite soon, about a recent trip that you took.
Yes.
We're going to have a lot more to discuss. But for today, I just want to thank you so much for sharing what you do and letting people know what you give to the state of Colorado. Really appreciate it, Bobby. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Till next time, thanks for joining us.